Attention, fans of Unfinished Business Television. We're thrilled to announce our proud partnership with Super 7, the ultimate destination for collectors and pop culture enthusiasts alike. When you shop at Super 7, you're not just getting amazing collectibles, you're supporting us. Use our exclusive link, super7.com/AJEPYX, and remember to enter the promo code AJEPYX at checkout. Your purchases help us bring you even better content, sharper production, and the quality you deserve. So what are you waiting for? Visit super74.com/AJEPYX today. Use promo code AJEPYX, and let's keep the good times rolling here at Unfinished Business Television.
Brian and Reggie have just won the trip of their dreams.
We're going to LA!
There's just one problem.
I have to bring a girl with me.
And just one solution. Goodbye, Reggie. Hello, Regina. He's my girl.
Hey there, folks. Welcome back. This is another episode of Unfinished Business Television Deep Dive. We're going to be talking about a movie. And it's Black History Month, so it will be a African-American themed film. But first, let me introduce myself. Hi there. I am Jeff Galashaw, Unfinished B2, aka Projector J1 on social media. And with me, as always, is my co-host Andre Joseph of AJ Epics Productions.
Who the hell is David Halliday?
Okay, that should be a hint as to what movie we're talking about this week. I chose this film because it was a childhood favorite, and my grandmother really enjoyed this film when I was growing up. It is 1987's He's My Girl, starring T.K. Carter and David Halliday. As David Halliday is a rock star singer or wannabe rock singer, and T.K. Carter is his best friend and also his manager. And he enters a contest for a video show, and he ends up winning. But the only stipulation is for the free trip to LA, he has to bring a girlfriend. Because, yeah. So, their genius idea is to dress up T.K. Carter's character, Reggie, in drag to play his girlfriend, and all the wild misadventures that happen once they hit L.A. And look, I'm sure Andre is very pissed at me for making him sit through this film, because I will admit, it played better. It's like Small Wonder. It played a lot better and more sensible when I was a kid than watching it today. Because this movie, I'm trying to be nice here. I like most of the actors involved, but every character is supremely stupid in this film. Like, not just normal stupid, like, oh, for the plot to move forward, but extremely stupid. Like, okay, first of all, you have a young Jennifer Tilly in this film who sees David Halliday's character and instantly, first he falls for her as soon as he sees her. Then she's flirting with him at the restaurant where she works as a waitress. And the thing is, okay, later on in the film, she gets upset finding out he has a girlfriend. But when she's serving them, she sees him sitting with Regina, and the other black girl, Tasha. So she knows Tasha. So you would know, her character would already know that he has this girlfriend. So why later does she act so shocked? Just like when it comes to, I know, yeah, most of you haven't even seen it, so you're like, whoa, he's already coming out the gate. But why would Tasha be upset when all the time she's called Reggie before, it's always been to the room number, and then she's upset seeing him coming out of the room, and now all of a sudden she's like, oh, They're sleeping together when he already said he was their manager. Can't they just be friends, especially after the guy in the bar as eloquently put it? If my dog looked that way, I'd shave its ass and make it walk backward. So obviously, Tasha and David Halliday's character are the only one who thinks Regina is sexy, except for all of a sudden the music boss all of a sudden gets a case of jungle fever late in the film and keeps wanting to see her naked and all that. And I mean, it couldn't play today because it's just stupid. And B, I think also it would insult a lot of trans people because this film is very misogynist. And and also it has the worst sin of all that I hate in films where after the credits roll, they say what happened to the characters in the future, and it's never funny because they try to make it funny, and it makes no sense. And to answer your question about David Halliday, his parents were rock stars in France, and so he was a big rock star, and he actually still writes music for a lot of movies and productions. Because I'm not gonna front, that's the only decent thing about this movie is his song. It's that was the one thing I actually liked in this movie. Watching it today. But there's just so many other things. Like there's plenty of other points that we could discuss after we get your assessment of the movie. But Andre, tell us about your thoughts on He's My Girl and have you heard of this film before? Mm.
Never heard of this movie until you brought it up. So thankfully, I never grew up with it. Um, but I've always liked T.K. Carter, going as
Yeah.
far back as, believe it or not, Good Morning Miss Bliss / Saved by the Bell. Those early years on the Disney Channel. So I mean, I've liked him for that and some of the other films that he had done, and he's still working today, thank God, because I feel like as a starring vehicle, this may have been like a killer for ever being a leading man in a movie ever again, having to do something as racist as cross dress. Of course, this is before Tu Wong Fu. So I think if this had Tu Wong Fu's budget and star power, it probably would have done a lot better.
Yeah.
This movie did not. It was very uncomfortable to watch because the comedy doesn't play. He does his best. I mean, listen, he is hilarious where he needs to be hilarious, but it's just uncomfortable to watch him have to be, have to completely overdo trying to be sexy and convincing when it's obvious that, he's playing an act that goes on for too long. And David Halliday, clearly, this was a Scotty Brothers movie and Scotty Brothers only production because they were only known as a rock label that worked for Survivor and Weird Al Yankovic. I'm surprised they didn't have Weird Al make a cameo in this movie. It probably would have
Even he was like, no.
yeah, he was too smart enough to tackle this film. And yeah, he has no charisma as an actor. And even with Jennifer Tilly in the mix, it's just I like Jennifer Tilly in general when it comes to comedy and horror movies, but as like the main lead's love interest, no. I would have had somebody that probably would have been like a Catherine Mary Stewart or someone along those lines be his love interest and not, you know, pre big booby Jennifer Tilly, even though she's cute no matter what. She's an angel's beauty. Um, I agree. Everybody's dumb, including David Clennon as the guy that's running this whole show. And that's the other thing that made it so difficult to watch. Besides the fact that this guy is like a hornball and just an inconsistent one at that, him and TK Carter were in the thing together. So every time they have scenes, I have to think about that shit when they do the blood test and his head explodes and he turns into one of the creatures. So it's like he gave 100% though, like having to be humiliated and have to get naked on the beach, but it's just like, why are you even with all these other women around? And obviously you got the hots for Tasha, but you got the hots for, TK Carter that you're going to try to like seduce him in the bathtub. Like, no, I don't want to see this shit. This is horrible. So I definitely left this movie with a very icky feeling, just poor acting. And, Scotty Brothers had, I think, a 6-picture deal. They were supposed to make more movies after this. And clearly they lost a lot of money and they're not even in the record business anymore, and I think they transfer all their master tapes to like MCA or somewhere because they. I think this killed their business by putting all money into this shit.
They had faith in David Halliday.
He was no Robbie Neville.
Well, here's the thing I didn't understand. It other than stupid, like she has like Jennifer Tilly's character has this awesome beach house that she's house sitting for a friend, you know. Her sculptures are horrible, you know, and he's actually looking at it like, "Oh, this is so original and beautiful." And I'm just like, "Really? What was up with his assistant's like military gear with the beret and the
Yeah.
shoulder pads?
And
Like
she
what
knew everything.
exactly? She was and what's worse, she was a habitual line setter because she kept encouraging them to like find out on each other and wanted the drama. So it was just like, why? What did they do to you? And I mean, I know it was 1987, but come on, the rock star stereotype of that guy who's supposed to be this big rock star and he's on drugs and drinking.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was like, oh, this was worse than Dude from Made to Order. You know, his depiction of a rock star. I'm like, it's just, and why did TK Carter keep making these cartoon noises all the time? It was like he was trying overly to sell jokes here, like, and it's just
Yeah.
like why is that even? Yeah, like,
You're coming
and
off like a stereotype.
exactly, and then it's a PG-13 movie though. In one of the first opening scenes, he seduces and sleeps with a girl who I think is topless, and
Yeah.
this film is like PG-13? And
It
what
doesn't
was
know
it
its
about
audience.
yeah, it's like and what was it about Tasha that was like, she's the girl of my dreams? Because Tasha seems kind of dumb, just in general. Because especially, like, at the end
Yeah, sweet looking girl, but just not like, she's not a bombshell.
yeah, and her character makes no sense. Because even at the end, she's working with Reggie at the, Champagne Douche, but she sells Bibles door to door in her spare time, like, "What?" It's like this was just like just so bad, even for 1987. You know, it was just
Now,
like
was this a script that had like multiple writers in it?
it has Charles Bull and Taylor Ames were the writers, but Taylor Ames, uh, Terrence H. Winkless, and Peter Bergman all did the story.
Therein lies your problem.
I take a former writers or a different draft. But like with all those writers, I know you dumbed down the material, but come on. This is just absolutely stupid. It's not a big shock that Gabrielle Beaumont, who directed this film, did not go on to many more productions, more television directing, TV movies. But the thing that kills me is that a woman directed this, and it's so
Yeah.
misogynistic and bad. You know, and maybe it's because no females were on the writing team for this film at all. And
That's probably what it is. And Gary Beaumont, I mean, I know of her just from doing a lot of television, like Hill Street Blues and St. Elsewhere. And I think she did Hunter. She did a lot of like big Botchko, Stephen J. Cannell shows back in the day. And I think this was like her only major movie that she did. And that was it. Like she didn't do anything else theatrical, as far as I know. Maybe some documentary work. I don't recall.
yeah, and I think it was her daughter played when he goes to get Simon, the British girl who opens the door,
Mm.
and then is soon taken away from by some other man. I believe that was her daughter because I always remembered her because of her weird hairstyle when I saw this movie as a kid. But yeah, I apologize for making you watch this movie. I didn't know it was this bad rewatching it. I was just like, oh man, I almost chose a different film, but I was like, you know what? Let this film get its time to shine because, like you, I grew up in the '80s, so of course I know who TK Carter is, and I was always a fan. And you know, he's his one big starring role, and it's like, ooh, this is it. But I mean, as a black actor, hey, it's a job, you know. But I don't know, him and Miguel Nunez Jr. always remind me of one another. Like Miguel Nunez is like the 90s, 2000s answer to TK Carter. Always in those supporting roles, maybe got one lead, but is infamous in his other roles. Because I remember he was in Dr. Detroit,
Yep.
and which he was in one of those, was it Foul Play with Chevy Chase, Charles Grodin, and Goldie Hawn?
I don't remember him in Foul Play.
He was in one of those Goldie Hawn, Chevy Chase films. I don't know if it's specifically Foul Play, but or it might be one of those where he turns into a dog. Uh,
He was on Punky Brewster.
Oh, of course, I remember him from that. And I mean, I remember him playing Bobby Brown's dad,
Yep.
and he was the co-star of the Sinbad show. And
That's right. I forgot about that.
yep, there is evidence of that one. It's not like the Sinbad genie movie. There is actual evidence that you could see episodes of TK Carter playing his best friend. But that was usually his role. He was always usually a best friend. I know you're not big on Good Time, but he was one of JJ's friends who they all bought a car that, Martin, the show, kind of took that storyline too.
Mm.
But I remember him from back then. So, but yeah, as a kid, probably the first time I remember seeing is like you say, Miss Bliss and Punky Brewster. So maybe that's also why I wanted this film to be good because, like, sentimentally, I remember TK Carter, and this is like, unfortunately, his crowning glory of a lead role, and it's just like, ooh, and well, maybe if they were looking for somebody younger, he could have played Winston in the Ghostbuster movies. He would have fit.
Yeah, it's the way they had it written down.
Yeah, so I guess the general consensus of He's My Girl, you would not recommend it.
It's another She's Out of Control. This movie should just be buried in the wasteful land.
Well, this might be the reason why it's very hard to find. Like, I don't think it ever physically came out on DVD, at least legally. And I mean, there's plenty of VHS. Again, my grandmother had the VHS. It was one of her movies she liked to watch. But, unfortunately, watching it today, it's just one of those. I should have just left it in the past, like from when I was growing up, because unfortunately, it's not good. There's no saving grace for this movie. There's no good quality unless you want to count David Halliday's song. But there might be a reason why he doesn't act much in movies and just
Apparently, this movie was a hit in Australia.
maybe they were that starved for comedy. They were like, I don't want to watch another Paul Hogan movie. What else you got? Oh, He's My Girl. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe some guys out there really did like Regina. Or like, I don't know. We don't see many of them around these parts. So it's like, but that's my type. Ooh, and she got underarm hair. Awesome. Or maybe they really like David Halliday music. He is an international rock star. um, any final thoughts on He's My Girl?
Well, I'm just reading that the original title was called Pulling It Off, and at one point it was going to be called Adios, Ohio.
Pulling it off has way too many other meanings.
Or Pulling It Out.
Yeah, then it would have been banned. Adios, Ohio. That's more sounds like a sitcom.
Oh, and then I also read that they had hard time shooting TK Carter's scenes because the wig would cast shadows on his face, and they had to use a special zoom lens to clear all the shadows off.
I just like that there was somebody whose job it was like, how do we get the shadows off of our star's face? Okay, everything's in extreme close up, which then shows how unconvincingly he looks like a woman. I'm just wondering, did they go to Bruce Young first before TK Carter? Since, hey, he's more believable in Risky Business than TK Carter is in any scene in this movie.
Could have gotten Damon Wayans for this.
I feel like this was what Damon Wayans didn't want to do, dressing up as so I'm like, they could have, but he would have looked the same age. And that was the other thing. How old are these guys supposed to be?
Yeah, they look like they're in their 30s. They don't look like they're late teens, early 20s that are aspiring.
Exactly, especially David Halliday riding a bike into the gas station. I'm just like, "Huh?" And you're telling me he learned makeup tips just overnight from Brian's mother?
Yeah, that was weird. That just came way too quick.
Exactly, and I will agree, for contest winners, their hotel room was shitty.
Mhm.
'Cause there it seems like there's barely any room in there. So, I'm just like, this is just such a failure." I promise, folks, I'm gonna get better with my picks because, I'm on a losing streak here, with
We
this.
need another egg crowd.
Oh, yes, we need that or another scream for help. I was hoping this would be another scream for help, you know, another cable classic, but I'm like, "Whoa, no." Scream for help bad in a good way. This is just bad.
Mm.
Maybe they needed like a third act, you know, man and wife kidnapping team, blackmailing, and it wouldn't have hurt. And well, at least it's not like one of these films like, oh, we first went to like Kurt Russell with this movie. It's- I'm just saying, they always have like when you look up trivia, it's always like, oh, this person turned down the role. And it's like,
Who
yeah,
is he gonna play?
he could have played the manager who falls for Regina in the end.
Ew.
Hey, hey, if they would have offered him enough money, Kurt would have been like, yes. And then 2 years later, he would have starred. He would have been in Drag and Tango and Cash. So I say Kurt Russell for this movie. At least would have had a star. Or somebody recognizable. Like, let's face it, at this point, the biggest star of the movie is Jennifer Tilly. And and for those who grew up in the 80s, TK Carter. But
They should have gotten Rick Springfield for this movie when he was doing like Hard to Holds.
yeah, he still would have looked too old. And plus, he would have been like the same height as TK Carter. And so instead of Brian looking like emasculated by this big woman, it would have been like, whoa, these guys are the same type. And it's like, well, here's the fucked up part of the movie. You look at Rick Springfield, you're like, he could do better. You look at David Halliday, it's like, this kind of fits. And a short leading men, we never get the proper due. Um, so that ends our business with He's My Girl. Yeah, don't. Guys, no.
Yeah, no.
No.
Only played on 30 screens, so no.
I'm like, I'm like even trying this and Brain Scan. I'm like, I don't know which is worse. I mean, at least Brain Scan has stars. um, yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I'm gonna make it up. This will not be the bad Black History Month pick. I am gonna come back with a better black film for us to talk about. So stay tuned. But that ends our business up here in the deep dive, and obviously this one sunk. And so we will see you soon. Until next time, we promise better.
If you like this review, please be sure to like and hit subscribe to be alerted to new episodes in the future.